In this lesson, we're going to talk about the basics of lighting inside of 3ds Max. So we already have our scene set up here. So if you want to follow along with this lesson, go ahead and open up lesson11start.max in your project files. So what we're going to do is we're going to get just a basic understanding of how to create lights and doing some very minor adjustments to those lights. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to the Create panel, and we're going to go to Lights. And by default inside of 3ds Max 2012, this is actually saying photometric. So switch it over to Standard because we're going to talk about photometric here in just a few minutes. So under Standard, we have Target Spot, we have Free Spot, Target Direct, Free Direct, Omni, Skylight, MR Area Omni, and MR Area Spot. We have several different types of lights that we can work with, but we really want to discuss 3 types of lights in here. We're going to discuss the spotlight, the direct light, and then the Omni light. Okay? We will not discuss the skylight or these 2 down here. Okay? We just want to get with the basics here. So you'll notice that we have 2 types of spot. We have target spot and free spot. And target spot and free spot are different. They're the same type of light, but how they're created is different. So target spot is created by clicking and dragging our light source. So the first click that we make is where our light source will be created, and then we'll drag to tell 3ds Max where our target is at. So we'll go ahead and release that right over the top of our teapot. And now if we right click to end this target spot creation, let's go ahead and drag this up. And you'll notice that our light source here is always pointing toward that target. So that's the difference from target spot to free spot. Free spot, let's go ahead and delete this one out here. Free spot does not have a target. So what we have to do is just basically click one time in any viewport. So let's go to our top view and we'll click right over the top of our teapot, and it creates a light source. And what we have to do is go ahead and reposition it inside of our perspective view. So let's grab our move tool and our Z-axis and let's just drag this up, and we now have a light source without a target. Okay, still the same type of light. They still do the same thing. It's just how they're created and just how they move, how we need to reposition them. Okay? Now, the spotlight itself, it is more of like a flashlight. It comes out of a source and points in a specific direction. If you want to think of a spotlight inside of a theater, in front of a live theater, if you want to think of it that way, it's right on the actress or actor, and it's really not lighting anything else up that is outside of its field. Okay? Now we do get a little bit of fall off on a spotlight, so that's why we've got this little bit of blurriness here. If we go to our modify panel, we can actually adjust the fall off and the hot spot of this light, but we'll talk about editing these lights here in just a few minutes. I want to go ahead and talk about another type of light that we have. So let's just hit delete on this. And let's go to our Create panel and Lights. And let's use an Omni light. And let's go ahead and just click anywhere in our scene here. Let's go to our top view and click right over the top of our teapot. And we get that same type of reaction that we had with our spotlight. Let's grab our Move tool. Just drag this straight up in the air. Now you'll know this one, notice that this one is shining light in all directions. It has a spherical type emission. So it's more of like a light bulb in the middle of a room rather than a spotlight or a flashlight in the middle of a room. Okay, it lights up the entire room itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete this one. And let's talk about the direct light. Now I'm just going to create a free direct light. I'm not going to worry about that target any longer. So I'm going to do free direct light. And let's create this one right over the top of our teapot again. Now let's drag this up, and you'll notice that we get a different shape here. This is a very cylindrical type shape, and you'll notice that it's not lighting anything up outside of this cylinder. This is sort of best explained as the bat signal. It's a very direct light, it's very strong, and it only illuminates what is within its field. Okay, so with spotlights we have a cone shape, kind of like a flashlight. With Omni lights we have a spherical shape like a light bulb. And with direct lights we have a cylindrical shape that is like the bat signal. Okay? Alright, so let's talk about actually editing these lights. I'm going to actually delete this one out, and I'm going to create a target spotlight in here. And what I want to do is just click and drag my spotlight here in the target right over my teapot. I'm going to right click to end that and go to my move tool and just drag this up here. And what I want to do at this point is go ahead and edit this spotlight. So with the light source selected, let's go to our modify panel, and I want to talk about the intensity, color, and attenuation rollout here. So you can just click on it to expand it. And you'll notice that we have a couple of different options. The first thing that we have is the multiplier. We can take this up to make it brighter, and we can take this down to make it dimmer. So if we want this to be a low light, we'll take it to like 0.2 or 0.25. And then we could also change the actual color of this light as well. So if we click on this swatch, we can change it to a blue or green or even red if we want to. But I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at white and hit OK. Now there are several different other options that are available with lights, and I really suggest that if you're interested in learning more about lights, that you actually go to our Introduction to Lighting inside of 3ds Max. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's Introduction to Rendering in 3ds Max, and we have other lessons available as well on lighting. Okay, so let's go ahead and decrease or collapse our rollout. And let's go to our Spotlight Parameters rollout. You may need to expand that. And what I want to show you now is the hotspot and the fall off. Now the hotspot is this bright yellow cone here. So if we adjust the size of this, this is our hotspot. You'll notice that it gets a little bit brighter as we get closer to this outer cone, which is called our fall off. Now the hotspot, this bright yellow one, is basically 100% light, 100% value of our multiplier, so 0.2. And then our fall off outside of this bright yellow cone is going to fall off and degrade down to 0 light outside of this cone here. Okay, so if we take this fall off down closer to our hot spot, we get a very hard light. But if we take our fall off up, you'll notice that it really blurs this light out and spreads this light. Okay, so depending on what type of reaction you're looking for, if you want a really tight light, you'll take that fall off down. If you want it to be blurred and more natural, you take it up. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's go in on our teapot here, and I'm going to do a quick render because we really want to see what is actually going to be rendered whenever we're working with lights. Now this Realistic does a really nice job of simulating light, but sometimes if you're on a computer that takes a little bit more time to render and it takes a little bit more memory to work with Realistic, this may not be the best thing for you. So you might be under shaded where you see no light at all. And if we go ahead and hit this quick render, we can see how our light looks here. So I'm going to switch this back to Realistic. That way I can see it here. Let's do a quick render. And this is very close, but it's not exact. Okay. So in the next lesson, we're going to actually talk about how we can actually cast shadows with our lights. You'll notice that our teapot is not casting any shadows on our table. So we're going to discuss how we can get those in the next lesson.